passionate visual storyteller. She also won a coloring contest when she was 9. Alright, and then we have Nguyen, started working professionally in the comic book industry in the mid-90s on indie titles. Since then, he's worked as an illustrator on a vast variety of projects, cover art, children's books, trade and sketch cards, paintings, and other collectibles. He's provided artwork for companies such as Marvel, DC, AMC, Dynamite, Zenescope Entertainment, and IDW. In recent years, he has ventured into promoting family-friendly events with Greater Austin Comic Con and the Hill Country Comic Con. And at the end here, we have Matthew Grant, currently writing and drawing his self-published series, Planet Slammer. Is a cartoonist and illustrator and graphic designer based in Austin, Texas. In addition to previous self-published works such as, Maelstrom? Masterism, see? And Explosion Proof. Matthew is a frequent contributor to a number of independent comic publications, including Dive Bomb, Kurt Belcher's World, and The Adventures of Alibi Jones. So let's welcome our artists. Alright, thank you guys all here. So you can see on the big screen what we've got. Our artists have reference drawings. They can also use their phone to pull up other references. And while they're doing these sketches, I'm going to just throw some questions at them so they can chat at us and let us know some things about themselves. So the first reference we have is a classic. We're going to go Princess Leia for this. So you guys can get started whenever. Oh, thank you. Pencil thievery, it happens, pen thievery. So while you guys are sketching, can you describe to us how you got into the comics industry? Matthew, you can start with you if you're alright with that.
I've just been drawing since I was holding a pencil.
Stories.
I'm going to pass this one. I'm so nervous here.
Alright, Bo, what got you into comics industry?
Always had the love for it. When I was younger, my parents was in the medical field, so when we moved from California to Texas, they were always at work, and I lived right next to them books. So
In your, was it a Star Wars? Was it a Marvel, a DC? How about you, Joe?
X-Men.
Yeah.
Those were, different characters, and being a little different myself back then, didn't have a lot of friends, thought that those characters kind of, didn't work for me. Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll be your friend, Bill.
Thank you, Jessi.
We're all here. Matthew, how about you over there?
I was big into The Flash.
Nice.
Probably date myself, but The Flash had a TV show in the 90s, or in 1990. And I was a teenager around then, so it was just a big deal for me.
Awesome. Everybody's going along pretty good. I love it. So, is there an artist or author or two that have inspired you? You guys will kind of mention a little, but is there anybody specific? Well, let's start with you this time.
Sure. There's always Frank Frazetta, Jack Kirby. There's Mark Schultz, who's not a lot of people know him, but he's just an amazing artist. But I get inspiration from tons of artists. Kind of look at them and go, I need to do better. But yeah, there's all over the place.
All right, I'm gonna jump down to Joe.
I was a big Marvel reader growing up, so I loved Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane. Those were my initial.
Yeah.
I really grown to be a huge manga fan. I love Naoki Urasawa, Inyo Asano, Satoshi Kon. Those are the ones that really just inspire me these days.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Jessi?
I'm a huge Becky Cloonan fan, and she's local now, which is really cool. Faith Erin Hicks, who does a lot of young adult stuff. I'm also into the manga artist Urasawa. He's really good.
Matthew, anyone in particular?
You mentioned Todd McFarlane. That was a big one for me. He was
Yeah.
hot on Spider-Man when I was young, and then following right behind him was Eric Larson, and I think he inspired me even more.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, that 90s. Solid 90s. So we see you guys are all doing the same character and all a little bit different. Can you describe your process for creating the look of a character?
Now are you asking are you asking about an already established character, or if we're making an original character?
Oh, this is not that specific. So let's do both. We'll start with the already established character because that's kind of what we're working with here. You guys are just so awesome. Sorry.
I think it's just really down to like trying to capture their personality, because the likeness is always really challenging for any artist. I mean, I don't know, maybe some people are just naturally good at it, but at least for me, if I can't really, photo replicate this person's face, then I want to make sure that, at least that their personality kind of comes through. So.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I think also looking at the things that make a character very distinct. So like with Leia, who we're drawing right now, everyone knows the big
The buns.
cinnamon roll buns.
Yeah.
Is that what everybody's doing?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's got the buns. Well, one of Betty references isn't the buns, but you're right, those are the pretty much
Makes her look like a
what
TIE
you
fighter.
know.
She looks like a TIE fighter.
That's a really good point, Matthew. She
Yeah.
does kind of look like a type. Maybe they were all just inspired by her. Okay, so give you guys a little bit longer on our first character. So how about for a character that you are creating yourself? I was hearing a little feedback. You guys can't hear all of the others? Okay, good, yeah. And I usually project pretty well. That I could have been a teacher, but I'm a librarian, and we're not as quiet as you think, ergo the library today. So the process for creating a character that is kind of from your own imagination. How much do you get to know that character before you start drawing, or do they seem to kind of come out of the pen almost right away?
I'll do a lot of drawings before I settle on one. It's not, I draw them once and I'm like, yes, perfect. This is what they look like. So I think about the character personality-wise and also physically, and both those things go into how they come out of the pencil, but it'll be lots of experimenting. It'll be looking at what makes an interesting silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
So something that's eye-catching. Again, Leia and her hairstyle, it's just what makes a character distinct, and you want to give someone a very distinct look. And you want to have, if you have a cast of characters, you want to make sure you have a lot of visual variety. So different fashion styles, different body types, different races. You want to have variety because that's what makes life interesting.
Yes. Anybody else worked on a character? Well, how about you?
It's the same thing. I use a lot of references in real life, so I use my wife or friends that I just like to embellish a little bit more and exaggerate, and then go from there. But I do a lot of really drawing from life when I come up with characters.
Getting to know the character in all the different places. All right, we'll go about 2 more minutes on Len, and then we'll switch to another character. Does anybody in the audience have a question that they'd like to ask? During cosplays, and definitely, hopefully you've checked out the artist room right next to us here. All of these artists and the others here today have tables. Stop by and visit with them. I want to go through.
Is there any way to shut the mic down or something so we can like into it?
Yes. It's gonna unfortunately work a little bit against our artists because they need the light for the table.
Make it closer to their art.
Unfortunately, that for the setup that we're working with. Does that help at all for you? All right. We can make it a little darker for you. Although that'll be next year's extreme sketch off in the dark. Right? You guys are all ready for that, right? That'll be perfect.
Oh, bring it. Take it all on. Yeah.
And for this Leia, any of you guys really kind of go to one of the reference sketches that we provided, or just kind of go with Leia?
Reference.
Reference, yeah.
Yeah.
Reference makes it easier.
Yeah.
You guys are all doing so awesome. So cool to see you guys work, right? All right, just about another minute. And then, I think since it's on here, we'll have to go, although Jessi did point out, it's kind of a softball for Joe down here, but we'll go for our next one.
Uh-oh.
Hey, I mean, I didn't pick the character.
I didn't pick them either, so I'm just going with them.
We can add an extra challenge and I'll push on him while he's drawing.
There you go.
There you go.
Blindfolded. No, you probably could do it blindfolded.
It's hard work.
We just set it aside. Okay, perfect. Last year was a little bit of mayhem when they were doing that. Awesome. All right, we've got 4 very distinct and very recognizable Leias. I feel like Matthew's Leia is the one where she's just so tired of Han and all those Jedi boys. Just
That's what I'm
being like,
going for.
seriously, you guys, would you just listen to me
When they're at the trash
for
compactor,
3 seconds?
Luke is like, I'm so upset about this one guy I just met dying, and she's like, my entire planet's gone.
Right? Really? Okay. Yeah, we feel that way about it. Fair enough. All right. So we're gonna go on to our next sketch and a few more questions. And so this is gonna be a sketch of Jughead. Your second page of references should be Jughead references. Archie's been big recently. Everybody watch Riverdale and all the fun. Yes, we've got a few cosplayers here and around. So Joe,
Yeah.
you've done a range of Archie stories over the last couple years. Do you have a favorite?
My favorite was the Archies, which is kind of a more traditional Archie, kind of classic style. But Archie, Jughead, Betty, Veronica, and Reggie form a band called the Archies, and they hit the road. And it's just about them playing gigs, the conflicts of being together all the time, and then they meet real bands. They met churches, Tegan and Sarah, the Monkees, Blondie.
Nice.
And so the final issue was them in the Battle of the Bands with Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh,
Yeah, that
that's
was a lot.
perfect. Let's see. What are some of your favorite characters? Let's start down here with Matthew. As an Archie, what are some of your favorite characters? Whether you draw them or not.
Started with the Flash, still love the Flash.
Flash, yes.
Probably my all-time favorite. Green Lantern's up there. I'm a DC kind of guy.
All right. DC's good. How'd you feel about the show? Did they do him justice?
Flash?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Not
Really good.
justice.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean it, but
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. See what they're doing.
excellent. I love how much comic, just culture and those characters are out there, and so many of us know, whether we've, grown up with them or they're newer to us. Well, what were some of your favorite characters? Probably mentioned a few already, but
Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Superman, kind of, like the general.
You like
Yeah.
the men.
you
Yeah,
guys
right?
there's a theme there. Jessi, how about for you?
Oh my gosh. In terms of Western characters, really loving Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, Squirrel Girl. So a lot of the Marvel characters right now are really fun. Like I said, really soft spot in my heart for Sailor Moon. Oh my gosh, it's a tough question.
It is, because there's so many.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's
and
just-
they're all. And we asked you, Joe, about the Archies, but what are some of your favorite characters, whether you've drawn them or not?
Well, I mean, I was a big X-Men nerd. I mean, Nightcrawler is my favorite character of all time, and you know that's really it for me. I mean, like that is the bucket list character for me to work on. But I love kind of just like I like I love Superman, Batman. I like the A-listers, but I also just like kind of like the B scene, like Booster Gold and
I love Booster Gold.
Blue
Yeah.
Beetle. I love those kind of secondary characters. That's really the stuff that.
Yeah, and you said as a like goal character, do the other three of you guys have a character, an existing character that you would just like ultimate career goal be to work on or work with? What do you think, Jessi? Look thoughtful.
I know.
There's so much out there.
Yeah. I would really love to do the Rocketeer.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be fun.
Is that one of the Hunger ones, Joe?
Yeah.
Ah!
Well, I mean,
You did make it a little harder. Because Joe has drawn Jughead before.
I've drawn many versions of Jughead. The most recent one was Jughead the Hunger, where he's a werewolf. So.
Yeah, there's some fun, real fun extra ones that they have. We definitely have that in the catalog. It may be currently checked out. You hopefully seen the library's selection. There are several spots from some of the children's areas, some right here in the teen area, and some over in the adult area. And then we've got a number of digital resources that allow us to provide some more titles through like Overdrive. Hoopla has a ton of really good ones. Sometimes I'll be cataloging new graphic novels and I'll already be reading it on Hoopla because it's just available already through them. Have you guys had projects that have gone digital, and were you involved in that process?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm actually, my next two projects are starting out as digital releases, so yeah, and I mean, pretty much every book that I've worked on has had a digital version, and really surprisingly how just active that market is. So.
Yeah.
I got my start doing webcomics.
Paper, or have you worked digital drawing in the first sketch off? Sarah was talking about how she usually draws on an iPad, so she was going to try and zoom in on the paper just because that's her regular mode of creation. How about for you guys? Matthew, how do you usually create?
I used to be all digital for quite a number of years, and I've come back to traditional recently because of the zooming thing. Is one of the big things is like I would zoom in so much, and I do like all these minor details that don't matter when on the printed page because they end up being so small. I just would get lost and spend too much time in it, so I just got back to traditional.
Actually, streamlined process. Interesting. How about you, Bo?
I'm all traditional. I went to school for business, so I'm starting to get into it. I got all the tools and everything, but just haven't had the chance to sit down and really dive in and take it to that next level on the digital side. And I work in IT, so it's horrible.
Right. Well, there's something to be said for getting out of that, and getting back to that pen and paper. How about you, Jessi? Oh, you already said. You started in webcomics. Do you still?
I started in webcomics. I don't have an ongoing webcomic right now, but I'll post little mini comics online. I honestly work about half and half because I really love to do traditional watercolor. But when I'm doing work that needs to be done very quickly, I will do digital. So it's nice to go back and forth from both of them so I don't get tired of one or the other.
Yeah. And would that be on the same drawing? Like you scan in and then can you edit still? Or is that would be separate projects, one being digital and one being more traditional pen and paper?
One thing I like to do is do my pencils, like my rough sketches digitally, and then print them out with a light blue and then ink over it. And when I scan it back in, the blue doesn't register. So it's a really quick way to do pencils and be able to adjust as you need to in the digital format. And there's also really nice things like a lot of programs have perspective tools now, which is a lifesaver. Because work smarter, not harder. So if you've got good tools like that, then use them. But I love the feel of traditional ink and the humanness behind it.
Yeah.
So that's how I work on a lot of my comics.
So we're about 10 minutes from the end, so we'll go for another minute or two on Jughead here, and then we'll probably get one more sketch in. This one will be Matthew pretty much. Yeah, although we never did get to Storm, dang it. So for Jessi, you're both a writer and an illustrator, and you mentioned earlier that you kind of found that you liked telling the story better as you went along. Is that kind of overall, do you prefer one over the other, or does it just depend on the project, whether you prefer writing or drawing it?
It depends on the project, and I do work a lot with writers where they're the one doing the writing, and I'm doing the drawing. But actually, so I've drawn a lot of other people's writing, and I've drawn my own writing, but I'm about to embark on an experiment where I'm getting other people to draw my writing, which is a new and terrifying and wonderful thing.
Yes, well, best of luck with that. Yes, it can feel very much your baby, especially if you've traditionally drawn them. You're like, but. All right, everybody looking awesome. All the Jugheads. Yes, several with the munchies. That's how I remember him. And Matthew's just classic. Sleep. Alright. That was what weird out all the guys in. I remember my dad was a draftsman growing up, and he had that eraser. That one where you like, yeah. And I just remember, thought that was the coolest thing. And yes, we provided a pencil for this sketch off. However, of course, our artists all have what they kind of prefer to use. Yeah, and all of our pencils are still sitting there. So what are kind of the, as we wrap up this one and get ready to do the flash, which will be your next page. See, there you go. What are some of the favorite tools you like to use? What do you think, Matthew?
Pentel pocket brush.
Pentel pocket brush.
Always there. And then just pencil.
Pencil, yeah. Well, what are your favorite tools?
Actually, with 3 kids, whatever I can get my hands on.
My favorite Roman Crayon.
Right?
I also love the Pentel pocket brush. That's what I'm using right now. And I do a lot of watercolor on the go, and so I really love the brushes that have the water reserve. And
yes.
So I don't have any in this bag with me now to show though.
We used it, if you came to Laser Cutter Craft, we used them last week where, because I am not an artist, was not blessed with that talent, but I can use a laser cutter to etch a design, and then I can color it with some watercolor pencils and use a water brush, and it turns out pretty cool. So a few of us did that last week. All right, so we've got our Jugheads, and so for our third and final sketch of this sketch off, sketch off. I mean, you're all winners. This is amazing. This is a lot of fun. Okay, so the flash, because we have to be fast in what is really about 7 minutes until we need to turn this room over for our next event, which will be the author panel in 10 minutes after this at 3 o'clock. So Jessi and I will wander away for a second and then go find some other people to come up here and tell us more about their books. So while we start the flash, Matthew, since you've told us so much that you love about him, will you tell us about Planet Slammer?
Planet Slammer is about a bounty hunter trapped on a prison planet with all the bad people that she put there. She was framed, and now she's on the prison planet herself and must deal with all the things that happen as a result of that.
Awesome. That's such a cool project. All right, and Bo, you have 2 cons up here. We've got Greater Austin Comic Con and Hill Country. Hill Country. I'm not from Texas, but I'm getting here, I'm learning it. Can you tell us any upcoming excitement for those, or what we're looking forward to?
Sure. Greater Austin is going on its 3rd year, and we want to kind of tie down or have the Austin vibe by keep Austin weird and live music. This past year, or earlier this year, we actually had the Cybertronic Spree, who dresses up as Transformers.
Yes, they're
This
very good.
next year, we're actually there's a gentleman called by the name of Weird Al doing an act. There's, if you're a big Star Wars fan, there's a gentleman just one is Billy D. Williams, and but we have a whole bunch of other, like 4 other Star Wars guests. But it's gonna be very. My shows are very focused on the vendors and artists because that's where I come from, my background. But yeah, again, it's a nice family-friendly event. The other one is in New Braunfels, which is Hill Country. We, especially having 3 kids, I specialize that show on more of empowering kids to be super, let their voice be heard. So a lot of very positive message, education and stuff. So a lot of younger, our theme for this year is superheroes. So there's a lot of superhero guests coming.
Yeah, if you've been to Greater Austin before, you may have seen us there. We've gone to that. We love it. And it was a really good one again this year. So let's see. My last question on here is for you guys to tell us about your upcoming projects. So Bo was just talking about the cons. Matthew, what have you got upcoming for us?
Still working on Planet Slammer.
Planet Slammer, all right. Jessi, what have you got upcoming projects that you can tell us about?
That I can tell you about. Like I said, I'm working with a couple different artists to get them to draw some of my writing. So I was just telling Joe about, if you guys know what the squonk is, it's a weird cryptid that supposedly is so ugly and wrinkly that it cries and dissolves into tears. So I'm writing a story about a bunch of cryptids together and helping the squonk work on his self-esteem.
Joe, what have you got upcoming?
I got the last issue of Jughead the Hunger, the werewolf Jughead, versus Vampironica, where Veronica is a vampire. That's coming out in a few weeks, and my next projects are going to be announced next week at New York Comic Con.
Oh, nice. So you're going from this con to New York Comic Con?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you get the good one in first, right. And then make your way up to New York, yeah, where there'll sure be many wonderful people. Cool. Does anybody in the audience have any questions that you've thought of?
I saw the flash in some of Joe's pages, like right at your table. What book is that from?
It was right before they went to do the DC Rebirth or whatever. It was when they were doing the new 52. So it was like Flash 50 and 51. Yeah. And then there's a Kid Flash story that I don't know what they're going to use it for, because they just had me draw the whole thing, and they're just like, okay, well, we'll let you know when we publish it, and they still haven't published it.
It was like Tom Holland in the movie. They just don't tell you anything.
Yeah.
They're like, here, just do this. Just turn it. It'll be great. He's like, what? No. All right, 2 more minutes. Well, 2 minutes. Love it. Yay! How many times has things gone? I do have a question. So we've kind of like pushed you along a little bit in this drawing process, but for an average project, about how long do you spend for a whole book, let's say? Are we talking months, weeks, years?
I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
Some books take longer than others, but and usually you're given typically like a month deadline, but I usually negotiate for 5, maybe 6 weeks per issue. So.
Excellent negotiation. There you go. All right. And again, if you guys weren't here earlier, artist room is just behind us here in the other Lantana. Make sure you stop by and see all of our wonderful artists, as well as authors throughout the Great Hall. We've got cosplayers over in the adult area. Like I said, just after this at 3 o'clock, we'll be doing an author panel. There's crafts in the tea room, probably still. Somehow we went through 399 trinky dinks in 2 hours.
Well, my daughter had at least 6,
Oh, okay, cool.
so that's
I'm excited. I just want to go buy myself shrinky big tiny little pins. I might have a pin issue.
her friend had some, was trying to get me to guess what they were.
The orange one was Spider-Man, I'll tell you that.
She gave me a cactus.
Aw, I did. I printed out a little succulent for downward bedding so they could trace it. Yeah, there were 2 more. So the other ones we didn't quite get to were Captain America and Storm.
I was gonna do bearded Captain America.
Bearded Captain America, yes, he was actually
Right.
here.
Yep.
I saw that.
Cool. We did Blues Frozone for a little bit there, but we're pretty sure we got.
Oh,
Oh,
just remembered something.
oh. There's Mohawk Storm. Awesome, guys. Let's give our artists a round of applause and thank you so much for doing this. We understand this is not your artistic process and we appreciate you jumping in and pushing yourself into it. All right, folks, thanks for coming and come back again in about 10 minutes for the next panel.
Hi, Mr. Fox.
I have a back girl like you did. Austin was
Hey, do you think I could have one of your drawings? Sure. Can I have your gel pen one?
$100.
Let me get a picture.
Flash. I've read all the Flash 52s.